Welcome to the Gamescape, everybody. My name is Jarek, and today we are back in Phoenix Point with a special edition of the Gamescape here, and that is because the Kaos Engines DLC just came out today, and so I wanted to do a video that where I kind of just give you my initial thoughts on it. I've had a chance to play with this for a couple of hours now. I was not able to get at it right away when it came out, so it's only been a couple of hours that I've been able to sit here and play with it. And I just went into my testing grounds. I haven't done any of the missions or anything like that. I've just been kind of looking at what they did, what they've added, some of the new stuff, some of the new features, some of the new modules for the vehicles. And I just wanted to kind of real quick give my first thoughts, and that's really all this video is going to be, is my initial thoughts. And I will do a more in-depth video that actually goes over all of the new vehicles and all the new weapons and such. I'll probably have that done here in a few days, but anyway, like I said, just wanted to jump in. So what is it? The new DLC introduces, like I said, it's upgrades to the vehicles and the vehicle system. And so there are some good things, some bad things. What you need to do to get this thing going is you need to find the Chaos Syndicate, and it is an independent haven. In my testing ground here, it just so happens that it was pretty close. I don't know yet exactly what the trigger is for it to pop up, if you just have to find it or if it comes up on its own after certain criteria are met. Like I said, I haven't actually been playing any of the missions yet or anything. I just loaded it into the test with the command console and kind of got everything the cheap and easy way. So there's still quite a bit here I don't know about, but there are some things I do know about. So what is this? This is a new haven, and if you fly there, it looks like you're going to have to do some missions for the Maker, who is the leader of this haven. And once you do that, he starts giving you access to new vehicle modules, and I believe probably eventually you'll get the Chaos Buggy, which I've spawned in. Chaos Buggy seems to be a unique vehicle. I built one. I don't have the option to build another one. I haven't tried to destroy this one yet to see if I can get the chance to build another one. I don't think that'll be the case. I suspect that you get one and that's it, but I don't know that for sure. So I could be definitely wrong about that. So what else is there? There's brand new weapons as well. Personal weapons for your soldiers. Those weapons are a little bit interesting. I would call them probably tier 2.5 weapons. So if you've got your tier 1 weapons, which are your Ares, your Bulldog, your 3 sniper rifles that the factions start out with, those are your tier 1 weapons. Your tier 2 weapons, you've got things like your armor piercing weapons, you've got your virophage weapons, things like that. Your tier 3 weapons would be the Ancients weapons, of course. These, I think they kind of fit in between tier 2 and tier 3 weapons. Maybe that's not quite exactly right. They are definitely better than the tier 1 weapons, but they have a little bit weird mechanic in that they don't use ammo, much like the Ancients weapons, but there is an increasing chance per shot that you take. And by a shot, I mean every time you fire the weapon, whether that's a single shot weapon or a burst weapon, there's an increasing percentage chance that the weapon is going to break. And once it's broken, you can't use it again for the rest of the combat. So you might get 2 shots. You'll definitely get 1 because the first percentage chance of it breaking is 0, and then it goes to 2, and then to 4%, and then 6%, and so on and so forth with each shot. So you might get 1 shot and it breaks on the second shot, or you might get 30 shots if you get really lucky, 40 shots, whatever. You could get up to 50 technically before the percentage chance reaches 100% to break. Would you ever get that lucky? Probably not. You could probably run 1,000 missions and not ever get 50 rounds of fire out of a weapon. But at the same time, how often do you fire 50 times of a weapon? So I think they're going to be nice in that you'll be able to save some maintenance costs by not having to feed them ammo, but you're going to definitely want to carry a backup weapon too, just in case it does break. So that's interesting. I kind of like them, and they're not terribly expensive. If we come up here to the Chaos Syndicate, there's a new marketplace here at the Chaos Syndicate, and I don't think it's open right away. I think you have to complete some missions first. But once you've completed those missions, which this is what makes me think that, so we've already proven ourselves to the Maker. There are no more favors of him to ask for. So he's going to give us missions as we prove ourselves. I think we'll probably get access to more and more of these technologies. This marketplace has both vehicle additions and personal weapons. Like, so the Chaos Handgun here, for instance, it's a damage 10, piercing, damage 50, piercing 10, burst 2 with 22 effective range. That's really good for a handgun. I mean, it's really good. And especially since it doesn't have ammunition, it's still only one action point to fire. So it's really good as long as it's working. And once it stops working, then you better have a backup. So that's the idea. The other nice thing is with this marketplace, you can just buy them instantly. You don't have to take time to build them. In fact, you cannot build in your own factories the personal weapons. You can build the vehicle modules, or you can come here and you can buy them at a increased cost in materials, but no tech. So if we were to actually build these reinforced caterpillar tracks, for instance, they would cost us less materials, but they would also cost us some amount of tech to build. So the benefit of coming here and getting it is it's instant build. The downside, he only has what he has. And when you buy one of these items out of here, it disappears off the menu, and then you have to go away and come back sometime later for the items to readjust or respawn. He'll make more to sell you, but it may not be right away, so you're kind of just taking a chance with that. So that's kind of an interesting thing with the personal weapons and with the marketplace. So let's talk about the vehicles though, because that's what we're really here to talk about, right? So I built a Chaos buggy, and it's kind of I'm not going to lie, it looks like a complete piece of junk. It's actually quite good though, as far as the vehicles go. What have they changed? They've given vehicles their own inventory space. Previously, vehicles had infinite inventory space, infinite carry capacity. So this is actually a slight downgrade from what they had before. Their encumbrance level though is 148, for this thing versus, 20 something or 30 something for your soldiers probably. So it can carry a lot, and you're not going to overload it with that encumbrance level with just the 9 slots. It also has 3 ready slots. What these are, the first one is the weapon upgrade, the second one is the hull upgrade, and the third one is the engine upgrade. And so you've got different modules for different slots up here. So like, for instance, we have the experimental exhaust system is the engine upgrade. So that slots into this third slot here. Okay, you can't put it here, you can't put it in the weapon slot. So it only goes here. So you can't have like 2 weapons and an engine. You have to have just one of each if you're going to do all 3, right? So here's another engine upgrade here. Here's your hull upgrades, right? So you could slot this one in there. You can slot this engine upgrade in here, and you're good to go, right? And each one of these adds some ability to the vehicle. So this one here is +5 speed, right? This is the lower level one. This one, it adds 11 + 11. But it appears to have ammunition, so it appears to not work forever. I'm not sure exactly what that does. I actually had it on a map, and the ammo didn't seem to be going down as I was driving around. My first thought was it spends 1 ammo per square that it moves, or per tile that it moves. It didn't seem to be the case, but maybe I was misreading. Like I said, I haven't had a ton of time to play with this. I just wanted to try a few things out and kind of get a feel for them. The plus side of the new inventory system, though, is you can load up the vehicle with stuff for your other soldiers as you go in. Now, what you can't do is you cannot have another weapon, right? If you were to take this weapon here and put it in and take this thing into a vehicle, take this vehicle into a mission. When you get into the mission, you go to the inventory, this thing will be gone. It won't be there, even though you put it in the inventory. But the grenade and the med kit will be there. So any personal gear that you put in there will stay there. But you can't have like a replacement weapon for if the one you slotted gets damaged or anything. So in that regard, it's a lot the same as it used to be, is that it's got the weapon it's got the ammo that it's got, and that's really all you're going to get, right? And so that's all right. It's not worse than it was. It's not better than it was. It's the same. The Chaos Buggy itself, though, its turret weapons are slightly better, I guess, than the other vehicles in that they have, most of them have 2 weapons in them, right? So this particular turret, the Vishnu gun, has both a minigun in it, which is basically a 8-shot 50 damage 10 shred cannon, and then it also has the grenade launcher on the bottom side there, 80 blast, 10 shred, 40 effective range, single shot, and 3 action points. So it's basically a big grenade launcher. And each one of those weapons has its own ammunition. So in that respect, this vehicle actually improves that, I don't know, I don't know if it's a deficiency. It's one of the things that makes vehicles not the best is their limited ammo capacity. And this one, since it has 2 weapons in the turret and each weapon has its own health, it's better, right? You have the 2 weapons, each one has its own ammo. So it's got, a total of 16 shots instead of a total of 8, like most of the others have, or total of 4, like the others have. So that's better. But again, this seems to be just a unique vehicle, and it seems like you can only have one as far as I can tell. Now, again, might be wrong about that. Haven't had too much time to play with it, but that's my initial thing that I've kind of found with it. So, but that's the new stuff. The vehicles have become more flexible, right? So there's 3 total weapons for each vehicle. And I'm talking now about the 3 original vehicles, the Scarab, the Armadillo, and the Espida. So each one of those had its original weapon. The Scarab had its missile launcher. The Armadillo has its machine gun, and the Espida has its robot arms. The robot arms do healing and paralyzation damage. So one of the 3 weapons that it now has is basically just a straight upgrade to the original weapon. So the Scarab, for instance, has a second missile launcher that has the same amount of ammo, more damage, slightly better range, bigger blast radius, right? So they're just better, just all across the board. The Armadillo, instead of the machine gun, now has the flamethrower, which is an area of effect fire weapon. The other weapon it has is a fire grenade launcher, incendiary grenade launcher. The Espida, it's 2 new weapons. The basically straight upgrade that it has to the paralyzation arms is it's got paralyzation cannons. What they are is basically like overcharged Athena paralyzation sniper rifles, right? So they still do, it's a 20, I don't remember exactly, 20 paralyzation, burst 2, and I believe that it had an effective range of 84, something silly like that. Each vehicle also with its engines has at least 1 speed upgrade available to it. Some of them have 2, and each one of them also has new abilities in its hull as well. So the Chaos Buggy, the hull adds blast resistance, for instance. This other one adds spiked armor. So if something runs up to you and hits you with a melee attack, they take damage, piercing damage. So it's just upgrades, is basically what it is. You can run without them, right? You don't have to have them. And it's up to you if you're going to want to purchase them or not. And that's one of the big downsides, is this added flexibility is coming at a premium cost because these modules are not cheap to build. If we take a look here in the vehicles section, I've unlocked basically everything here. So this revised armor plating we were just looking at, 300 materials and 10 tech. One of the things that made vehicles semi-attractive, even with their faults, was the base vehicle is really just slightly more expensive to build than a soldier is to recruit and outfit with weapons and armor. The difference in cost is almost negligible between the 2 things. So while a vehicle takes up 3 soldier slots in your plane, but doesn't do the work of 3 soldiers, it doesn't cost more than 1 soldier, and it does do slightly more work than 1 soldier. Maybe it does 1.5 to 2 soldiers worth of work, right? And so this is kind of upscaling the vehicle, right, to increase its capabilities, whether that's speed or some other thing, like the Psychic Jammer here for the Aspida gives mind control immunity to your nearby allies. I mean, that's huge, right? The Aspida actually came out of this looking pretty nicely with its upgrades, although, again, they're not cheap. 400 materials and 40 tech to build this thing. That's a lot, right? So you're paying a premium price to get this extra flexibility out of the vehicles. And is it going to do 3 soldiers worth of work even with these extra modules in them? I don't think so. And I don't know for sure because I haven't really been able to play with them too much, but you spend a lot of extra materials to upgrade the weapons, upgrade the engine, upgrade the hull, and you're getting better. The vehicle is better than it was. Like the Aspida, its engine upgrades give it either leap or dash, right? And it can use the dash twice per turn. It's already fast, right? You add in another 50%, instead of 32, now it's going 48 squares or 48 tiles in a turn if it dashes twice, and then finishes out its move. That's almost all the way across most maps, in one turn. And you get a technician behind it that is able to activate its weapons remotely. It can move all that distance, and then the technician can fire its weapons or use its arms or whatever needs to happen. So that really makes it effective at getting to where it needs to go, doing some damage, and even then maybe running back away again. So is that worth it? Maybe. I don't know. It depends on how you're going to use them. It depends on the scenario. It depends on how late into the game you are too, largely, I think. It costs a lot though. I mean, 400, 200 to 400 materials, 450 materials even per module. That's a bunch. You can do a lot with 450 materials in other respects. So I don't know. I wanted this to be a really, really good upgrade. I really hoped that they had fixed the main problem with the vehicles, in that they don't do the work of the 3 soldiers they're replacing on the plane. They just don't. And while I haven't played with it a ton, I don't think they do still. They are definitely better. How much better they are, is it worth the extra cost? I don't know about that. That's something that you're going to have to kind of play with and decide too. And like I said, I'm going to I'm not giving up on this at all. I do actually like vehicles, and I do use them. In fact, I maybe use them a little more than I should. I've had more than one person in my playthrough tell me that I depended too much on the vehicles while I was using them. And so they are good. They are useful. They have their uses. And I'm not saying that you should never use them, because that's not true. One of the things that does get fixed, the weapons now give you a choice between either arcing fire, usually, or direct fire weaponry, right? So both the Scarab and the Armadillo now have a choice if they want a direct fire weapon or a arcing fire weapon. And, one of my things that I would say about the Scarab was it was terrible for base defense, because the missiles have such a high arc, you couldn't fire them inside the base worth a darn. And so it was basically just useless when it came to, having to defend your bases against Pandoran attacks. Well, now there's a cannon that you can put on it instead of the the missile launcher. And that cannon is direct fire, and it's fairly powerful, right? And it doesn't have very many shots, but the shots that hit are going to do quite a bit of damage. And so that flexibility is there. They did add flexibility, and that's not a bad thing. I just don't know if it's enough. And I can't decide that, right? You're going to have to decide that for yourself and for your game and your play style and whatnot. But at any rate, those are my initial thoughts on this stuff. I do like the Chaos buggy. It's got slightly better than the other vehicles, I think, as far as the turrets go. The Aspida seems like it came out of this with some really, really nice upgrades. This Psychic Jammer, area of effect, mind control immunity, that's pretty sweet ability. I'm not gonna lie. Most of the time when my missions go south, it's because somebody gets mind controlled and sets me way back, right? And it's more turns I have to spend hunting down whoever it is that mind controlled them, or, waiting for them to get unmind controlled and then unpanicked and recovered. And it's just extra turns where you're sitting there. A lot of the times when a mission goes south, that's the reason why. And so having the psychic jammer, I think, would be great. One of the upgrades for the Scarab is armored tracks. And so that's this one, reinforced caterpillar tracks. This thing allows the Scarab to run over worms, mine fraggers, and those myrmidons. Oh, I hate those myrmidons. I don't think anybody likes the myrmidons. Those things are just bogus. I am of the opinion that all vehicles should be able to do this anyway, but at least now there's a mechanic for one of them to be able to do it. And then along with the reinforced caterpillar tracks, there's also carbon fiber plating, which gives acid resistance so that when you run over those acid myrmidons and they explode, I haven't tried this. I suspect they still explode when you run over them. But if they do, it's not doing as much acid damage to your vehicle when it happens. So, you know, there are a couple of ways here that these vehicles can still continue to be useful even after they've expended all their ammo or if they've gotten their turret shot off. And this is one of them, right? I mean, you can have your Scarab on worm duty. You can have your Aspida just guarding your guys from getting mind controlled. There's other modules that, you know, some vehicle modules allow you to increase the number of people that the vehicle can hold. I think there was one of those that I saw. There's a couple of them that increase the vehicle's cargo capacity for those missions where you're doing the scavenging runs. You need to be able to put a bunch of stuff in the vehicle. You can still do that even with its limited cargo capacity. Vehicle inventory can now be accessed from outside the vehicle. You don't have to climb into the vehicle to access its inventory. That's another nice little bit that they changed. And it's a minor thing, but the ability for your vehicle to move into the mission carrying extra ammo or spare weapons or whatever else for your team, I don't think that's nothing, right? I think that's going to be something that could potentially be useful. And, you know, its carry capacity is not unlimited, but it's effectively unlimited because you're not going to overload it with the number of slots that it has. I mean, there's just not enough heavy equipment to overload it, you know, with its carry capacity. So that's another little bonus. Anyway, those are about it. There's going to be new missions too, to get the ability to get this stuff from the maker at the Chaos Syndicate. I don't know what those missions are going to be like. I don't know if they're going to be good or bad. I haven't done them yet, and I don't want to spoil anything even if I did do them. So that I probably won't talk about in this video or on my more detailed video about these modules. I'm going to go through each one of these in another video, and we'll talk about their strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. This is, again, just my first thoughts, and I think that is it. I think those are my first thoughts. So overall, vehicles are better. They are better. There's no denying that. That betterness comes at a price. And do they still suffer from their original problem, which was they don't do the work of the 3 soldiers that they replaced? I think they still do, but maybe not quite as much. And so there might be some cases now for using the vehicles, especially the more specialized ones, specialized modules. I think you're going to like them better, at least. You're probably not going to send a vehicle on every team that you send out still, but I think they're better if you want to put the resources into making them better. And that's a big question because, you know, like everything else, everything's competing for your resources, your bases, your soldiers, your aircraft, and the modules that they need to have. Everything is competing for your materials and your tech. And this is now another thing that's competing for your materials and your tech. And I think that's a bit of a downside, but at the same time, that those upgrades, I guess they can't come for free, right? So I think that's it. Those are my initial thoughts. Better, but could be better yet, I guess. I don't think they did solve the problem of them being, you know, not as good as the 3 soldiers they're replacing. So that's going to be a big drawback. And I think that's still going to limit how much usefulness they get. The Chaos Buggy definitely is better than the others because its turrets are better. But even the upgraded weapons on these vehicles are better than the ones that originally came with the vehicles. So there's some more flexibility. There's some more utility. And I think as time goes on, I think people will find good uses for these vehicles now that they do have this added flexibility, added speed potential, especially when you start pairing them with technicians, like I said. So Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. I just wanted to get my initial thoughts out there on the new DLC. If you've enjoyed this video, do me a big favor, hit that like button for me. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel for more content like this. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.